service well when it comes to water and water products. And when we were growing young, it was abundant. Even people used to fish and do other things, draw water to irrigate and plant other things. But right now, it's a wash bay. The rain comes as it goes, and that is the end of it because of this eucalyptus which was planted around it. It outcompetes other species. This is another issue. It just not just take what is, it outcompetes completely. That where you find these trees grown, there will be no other things growing because of that outcompetition. So uprooting them, I think, a way to go, but also avoiding it at all, that we don't add more insult to injury, I think is very important. So as I conclude, I want to congratulate Honorable Irene and Honorable Kagiri, who seconded this with a lot of facts. And I urge other members, let us support this and vote it in so that we can start implementing it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Member from Viwa. The Honorable Naomi Wako, Member from Marsabit County.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill number 66 of 2023, the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill by Honorable Irene. And I also want to congratulate Honorable Irene Manyaka for coming up with this, which is very relevant and to every part of this country, very important, especially now when we are talking of climate change and Kenyans and the entire world is struggling on how we can cope with this situation. So I support this amendment because of course, the facts that she has already given and other facts that all the other members have given. And I also add my own addition to that so that these amendments can be put in place and we save the situation in our counties and different parts of this country. Honorable Speaker, as you may know, some time back, it was like a tradition for all of us to plant the eucalyptus trees all over. And little did we know that the disadvantages were so much, such that we didn't even imagine that in some few years, we'll be talking of the negative impact it has had, especially for those of us who come from ASAL areas, whereby we have planted and our parents have planted in our farms, in our small shambas, in our plots, and even around the wet areas. And at the end of the day, what people have seen is it has done a lot of damage, and we better, the earlier we get rid of these trees, the better for us. Although I know many people have been talking about the advantages, the medicinal side of it, and all these other things, but when you look at the negative impact, it is so high such that we need to get rid of it. Honorable Speaker, after looking and doing a bit of research on this, I have seen that the eucalyptus trees root spread up to 100 feet, which also means that if you plant it close to your house, the damage it causes is so huge such that your house can be brought down by this. And you know very well that in the villages, people don't have a lot of resources and even cannot afford to come up with that very strong foundation. So when you do this, and then it destroys all the area around that, and at the end of the day, your house is also damaged. You know very well, many people cannot also insure their houses, and at the end of the day, the loss is so huge on them, and repairing again is a big problem. In fact, I have heard of so many people from my own village complaining about that and trying to move even relocate their houses to a different place. And of course, that is also not easy because of the cost that they can easily incur. Again, the other thing that I have seen from experience is that during the wind time, you know, when it is raining, the winds come, and sometimes this eucalyptus tree can easily fall. When they fall again, the damages are so huge. They fall on houses, they fall on classes, they fall on even human beings, and destroy people's property. So, Honorable Speaker, there is no need for us to keep those things that disadvantage us and our community, and that is why today I stand and say that I support this bill so that we get rid of it and we replace the trees with other trees that have relevance and can have some benefit to our communities. And with those few remarks, I support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Wako. The Honorable Christine Ombaka, member for Siaya County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise to support this bill, or this amendment bill, because it is good for the country. When we talk about the effect of water, and eucalyptus tree is one of them, then it is better to sacrifice and burn it, especially along the rivers and springs. Anything that affects humankind in terms of water resources is a dangerous thing. We know very well that people who suffer in terms of looking for water are women. Women never have water. They spend a whole day looking for water in the rivers and in the springs, and young girls and old women look for water all over. Even little boys, I see them looking for water, even without eucalyptus. But with eucalyptus trees around, the situation gets worse. So anything that will affect lack of water, that will affect us, that there is no water, that sucks water from the springs and from the rivers, that's a dangerous thing. So that's why I support this, because the sufferers are human beings. Water is life. When there is no water, nobody will have that life. So this is a dangerous thing. This is a dangerous tree that we need to control and ensure that it is not grown along the rivers. My next point is that people plant these trees, eucalyptus, because they believe it is medicinal. It is. It has been confirmed. It is medicinal. It is used for various diseases like coughs and colds. It is also used for insecticides. And so people see the benefit of it. But people need to be educated to know the bad side of it as well, so that they take care and become more cautious. During tree planting times, we normally have tree planting seasons, and people plant anything, any tree that they see. It is important also to use that opportunity, that time, or tree planting, to educate the people what type of trees to plant, what type of trees to avoid. That way, we will be able to avoid planting trees that are harmful, or that will affect our daily lives. So I think that is my contribution to this. I support it because it is touching on the very core of human life, water. Water is life, and water, without water, women bear the biggest burden. Therefore, we need to burn it along the rivers, along the springs, or any water sources that we have around. I support the bill, and we will continue to debate on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Member for Siaya. The Honorable Patrick Ndwiga Twiga, Member for Chuka Igamba Ng'ombe.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I stand to support this important bill by Honorable Irene Mayaka. I come from the Rakanidi County, Chuka Igamba Ng'ombe constituency, Chair. And in my constituency, this eucalyptus tree is a main problem to us, Chair. And I even want to look at the problem it has caused us in a different angle, Chair, because even the investment we are doing in Speaker in terms of water catchment, in terms of water for irrigation, all the intakes we have done like in my constituency, the government has invested so much money to do these water intakes, People have started doing irrigation using these water projects, but these rivers are drying. So all the investment we have done in the intakes, it's going to waste because the rivers are drying. So, Chair, Madam Speaker, it's very important that we avoid these eucalyptus in our trees, because what we are doing is just reverse investment. Like in my constituency, we have an investment of almost 1 billion by European Union for our water intake that is supposed to serve the whole of Chuka town and its environment. But because of these eucalyptus trees that have been planted along that river, we are losing almost 5 intakes now. That during these intakes have water almost 2-3 months per year. The rest of the season, they don't have water, Chair. So you wonder, is it worth to do all this investment in this intake and these important irrigation and drinking water projects to have water 3 months per year? Something that we can avoid by avoiding these trees. So, Madam Speaker, I think this is a very important bill, and I'm happy that it has come at this particular time, that even in this parliament, for members of parliament, we have even enhanced our environment kitty, that when we go home now, we need now to start telling our people, because people are being given alternatives, that you don't plant eucalyptus, or do you plant? So it's the high time, Madam Speaker, we engage our people constructively. And I love the research that the Honorable Member Eileen has done, and I would really wish that is shared widely. Even the examples she has given of countries that have dealt with this matter of eucalyptus trees, so that as we engage members, we engage from a factual point, we engage from a point of knowledge, and we engage from a point where we can show them that it has been done elsewhere, and so it can be done in Kenya too. Thank you, Speaker. I support.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Richard Yegon, member for Bomet East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to contribute on this issue of eucalyptus trees. I want also to congratulate Honorable Irene Mayaka for bringing in this issue, because there was some time where we talked about these eucalyptus trees, and I think it died off again like that. But I believe this time around we are going to take action, because eucalyptus trees, when they are planted along the rivers, they tend to drain a lot of water. They take a lot of water, thus making the rivers go dry. Madam Speaker, it is high time that we need to enact serious laws to make sure that the areas where eucalyptus trees are planted are categorized. They need to be put up the hills, whereby it doesn't drain a lot of water from like when they are planted in the rivers. I've heard in my area whereby if you see a tree or a eucalyptus tree, which is when somebody fell a tree, and maybe you can put something to collect the water out of that tree, you will find there's a lot of water coming out of a tree which has been fell along the river. And therefore, we need serious laws to be put to curtail these issues of planting trees along the rivers. It is finishing water. Within some few months after the rains, the riverbed just got dry, and we want to enact serious laws to make sure that this rule is followed. And for those people who have planted trees along the rivers, I want to say that there should be a mechanism when this law has been enacted. There should be a mechanism where we must penalize the people who are planting trees along the rivers. And equally, even those who are planting the trees along the borders of some people, we need to put some stringent measures whereby you say maybe around 6 meters off the boundary of somebody, you plant those trees along there, because they tend to finish, make the farm of the neighbor look very bad or become dry, and even the crops which are planted in their farms, they are not going to come out very well. Madam Speaker, I support this. We need to make serious laws to curtail these issues of the eucalyptus trees being planted in the wrong place. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Ruth Odinga, member for Kisumu County. Please give the mic to the Honorable Ruth Odinga.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I'd like to support this bill by Irene Mayaka. First of all, the eucalyptus tree is one of the most has a high transpiration. And that means the tap root of this tree really goes far deep down. So even when you put it along the river, it doesn't just mean where you have planted it. Its roots go very, very deep into the river itself. And it uses high absorption of the water from the river. So it's not even depleting the water within the soil around the river, but even the one within the river as it's flowing. That is actually the fact about this plant. It's very dangerous to have it along any waterways. And secondly, Madam Speaker, it is so sad that we are doing a lot of tree planting. And right now, the government has come out for us to do tree planting everywhere. But it is done indiscriminately. We just plant any plant that you find. We are never given much choice on which one are the best ones and where should they be planted and where areas. I will not say that I'd be against the eucalyptus plant being planted, but it should be done in a designated area. For example, if it's in a forest area, we know that we have a particular area, and I know that is done in West African countries, which still have areas for planting such medicinal plants like the eucalyptus. It should be given its status as a medicinal plant and be planted in a designated area where those who want to use it as a herb or for medicinal purposes can be able to cultivate it and use it, but not to have it be put in an area where it's going to actually affect the humans around that area. Now, for example, apart from saying along the rivers and the lakes, also in the farming areas, once you plant the eucalyptus tree in the farming areas, do you know it will be competing with all the plants and all the farm produce for that water that they also highly need for the plants to grow. So even in farming areas, even in actually habitable areas, the eucalyptus tree should not be planted. It should only be planted in a designated area in a forest. And one of the other reasons is because even the leaves of this eucalyptus plant, it never rots. It just acclimates itself, but it never even rots and decomposes to become a manure that can be used like the other trees. So for me, I believe that I support this bill that especially along the waterways and anywhere that is humanly habitable, the eucalyptus tree should not be planted. But we should have it for the medicinal purposes, but in designated areas, in forests where they can be cultivated and it can be used. So with that few remarks, I thank Honorable Kagiri and Honorable Mayaka and say that I really support this bill. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Baringo, Honorable Jematia Sirgon.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And I want to also take this opportunity to congratulate and thank my friend, Honorable Rene, for coming up with such a very important bill and proposal amendment into enabling the Cabinet Secretary to put regulation in place to curb this very dangerous and very inefficient plant called eucalyptus. I come from a very dry area, naturally, Madam Speaker, but I have also interacted in areas, specifically in my county, where eucalyptus has been planted. And you can see the effects, specifically on dry rivers, the overflowing rivers that you used to see when we used to be young children, the way we used to swim on the rivers, and the way you used to, graze our fathers' cows along the rivers. Nowadays, it is a really dry site, which is giving us are very bad. So, I mean, the environment is just degrading and it is becoming worse by the day. If you read about this bill, Madam Speaker, you realize Honorable Irene Mayaka took time to educate us and show us the importance of making sure that we have eradicated eucalyptus species, specifically by even defining and giving us the types that are more severe than the other. If you look at the Eucalyptus globulus, the blue gum, that is known for its water-hungry nature, it can potentially deplete water sources, affecting rivers specifically, or especially in areas with limited water availability. We naturally depend on rainwater fed in terms of agriculture, survival, and always, in many ways. Now, if we, as we are introducing, or when we plant eucalyptus species, like this blue gum, which we always use it for construction, and we like, for commercial purposes, as much as it is good, we can see the dangers that actually are so far and is more likely going to affect the environment is so dire and so negative. And this one I want to support and say it is going to be a very resourceful bill, and we really want the Cabinet Secretary to take up this challenge and do the proper amendments and regulate this, specifically people who are having the penchant of looking for money in many ways that affect the environment, specifically through this eucalyptus planting. We also want to urge the ministry through the cabinet that as they do these amendments and regulations, there are many alternative trees that we can plant and replace it with eucalyptus, which also still have the same beneficials with eucalyptus in a way, specifically on matters planting, construction.